SLT Fibre and experience the power of fibre technology. Sri Lanka's only super fast internet connection. SLT Fibre. Call 1212 now.
In your headlines tonight, who will be the UNP candidate? Public rally in Badulla seeking presidential candidacy for Sajid Premadasa. Addressing confusion, Chairman of Election Commission expresses readiness to hold either presidential or provincial council polls but prefers to address delays in electing representatives to provincial bodies. Ulterior motive. Parliamentarian Udaya Gammampila accuses the President and the government of attempt sabotage as SLPP gathers momentum on presidential election.
We urge the government not to bring the provincial council election before the presidential election. Let people to decide.
A sense of frustration. The outgoing British diplomat believes Sri Lankans are disappointed over the lack of greater progress.
I think that is a mark of the importance that your average voter out on the street attaches to the issue of good, transparent government.
All this and much more coming up tonight on First at 9, this Monday, the 12th of August 2019.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
මුහුණ සති කීපයකට කලින් Fair and Lovely men ගෑවට පස්සේ මාක්ස් අඩු වෙලා ෆෙයානස් වැඩි වෙලා.
මාක්ස් අඩු කරලා ඔයාගේ ෆෙයානස් ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් එක වැඩි කරගන්න. Fair and Lovely men anti marks cream.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A warm welcome. Chairman of the Election Commission Mahinda Deshapriya attempted to answer questions on the confusion of which election, whether it is the presidential or the provincial council polls, that should be held first. Mahinda Deshapriya said ideally polls to provincial council or provincial legislative bodies should be held first as it caters to the democratic rights of the people, but expressed the Commission's readiness to call both presidential and provincial council elections where needed. Speaking at a media briefing today, Deshapriya also held the executive and the legislature of the country fully responsible for the long delay in holding provincial council polls.
The provincial council elections were hampered due to the delimitation report not receiving parliamentary approval. It was forwarded to a committee headed by Prime Minister in order to make necessary amendments. No conclusion is however made, and the terms of office of all provincial councils except for the Uva Provincial Council remain expired. In such a backdrop, President Maithripala Sirisena has sought Supreme Court opinion regarding the provincial council election under the powers vested with him by Article 129 of the Constitution. Speaking to AdaDerana this evening, Chairman of Election Commission Mahinda Deshapriya said the court might commence hearing the matter on the 23rd of this month.
දැන් පසුගිය දිනක ගරු ජනාධිපතිවරයා ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයෙන් විමසලා තිනවා පළාත් සභා ඡන්ද විසීම තියන්න යෝජිත මිශ්‍ර සමානුපාත නියෝජන ක්‍රමය යටතේ සීමා නිර්ණය වාර්තාව එතුමට ගැසට් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? එහෙම නැත්නම් පරණ ක්‍රමයට යනවා නම් ඒක කරන්න ඕනේ මොකක්ද කියලා. අපිට දැනගන්න තියෙන ආකාරයට නොනිල ආරංචි මාර්ගවලින් මේ මාසේ 23 වෙනිදා ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණය විසින් මේ පිළිබඳව විභාගය ආරම්භ කරනවා. අපි හිතනවා ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් තීන්දුව දවස් 10ක් වගේ කාලයක් සතියක් දවස් 10ක් කාලයක් අතර වගේ ලැබෙවි කියලා අපේ මතය විමසුවොත් අපි කියනවා අපි කැමති මේ අවස්ථාවේදී තියෙන පහසුම ක්‍රමය තමයි පැරණි ක්‍රමයට ඡන්ද විසීම තියෙන එක. අපිට තියන්න ඕන නම් අපිට ඒ සඳහා දවස් 60ක පමණ අවම කාල සීමාවක් ඕනේ. ඇත්තටම අපිට ජනාධිපතිවරණය තියන දවස් 50ක් ඕනේ. අපි කොයි වෙලාවකවත් මේ ජනාධිපතිවරණයට බාධාවක් වෙන ආකාරයට යම්කිසි මෙහෙයුම් කටයුත්තක් ඡන්ද විසීමක් කිරීම අපේ එහෙම අභිලාෂයක් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, at another media briefing earlier today, the chairman of the Election Commission responded to questions raised by media on the confusion of which election will be held first.
අපට ජනාධිපතිවරණයට සූදානම් වෙන්න පුළුවන් ළඟම දිනේ තමයි සැප්තැම්බර් 3 වෙනි සතියවත් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ජනාධිපතිවරණයට ඕන කඩදාසිත් හදලා තිනවා. පළාත් සභා ඡන්ද විමසීම දෙවිදියටම තියන්න ඕන කඩදාසිත් හදලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි අපි රටේ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රී අයිතිය වෙනුවෙන් කලින් තියන්න ඕනේ පළාත් සභා ඡන්ද විමසීමේ කියන එක අපි කියනවා. පළාත් සභා ඡන්ද විමසීම ප්‍රමාද කිරීම ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍ර අයිතිය යටපත් කිරීම. ඒකට වක් කියන්න ඕනේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම විධායකයත් ව්‍යවස්ථායකයත් දෙකම.
රටේ ද්විත්ව පුරවැසි භාවයේ කියන මාතෘකා බහුලව දැන් කතා වෙන්නේ. ඔය ද්විත්ව පුරවැසි භාවය තිබුණොත් මෙතවරට ඉදිරියට වෙන්න බැහැ.
ද්විත්ව පුරවැසි භාවය කියන එක අපේ කිසිදු ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ හෝ කිසිදු පනතක සඳහන් වෙලා නැහැ. ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ සඳහන් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ වෙනත් රටක පුරවැසි භාවයේ දරන ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයෙකුට පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකු සඳහා තේරී පත්තිය නොහැක කියන. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකු වශයෙන් තේරී පත්තිය නොහැකි අයකට ජනාධිපතිවරයා වශයෙන් තේරී පත්තිය නොහැක කියලා. එවැනි නුසුසුකමකට යටත් වෙච්ච කෙනෙක් නාම යෝජනා පත්‍රයක් දුන්නොත් මැතිවරණ කොමිෂන් සභාව if කියන ප්‍රශ්නවලට පිළිතුරු දීමෙන් වැළකී සිටින්නේ.
Leader of the Pivithuru Helaurume parliamentarian Udaya Gammampilla, quoting media reports over the weekend, alleges that President Maithripala Sirisena is attempting to sabotage the momentum created by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna ahead of the presidential election. He urged the presidential election to be held imminently before considering to hold what he called purposely delayed provincial council polls.
It was reported in weekend media that President has sought Supreme Court's opinion about holding provincial council elections immediately without considering the amendments brought by Provincial Council Elections Amendment Act of 2017. Despite our strong protest, the government decided to postpone the provincial council elections. All of a sudden, the President now wants to hold the provincial council elections immediately. What is the ulterior motive? The entire country is now getting ready for a presidential election. We have already named Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa as our candidate. As far as I could see, the president is in an attempt to destroy this momentum generated by us for the presidential election. As Provincial Council Election Act says, from declaration of the nomination dates to the declaration of the election results, it may need at least 7 weeks. 7 weeks from now means mid-October. In other words, we should have declared the presidential elections by then. Therefore, we urge the government not to bring the provincial council election before the presidential election. Let people to decide their next leader and their fate.
Outgoing British High Commissioner to Sri Lanka James Doris believes there is a sense of frustration among citizens of Sri Lanka that greater progress has not been achieved in the areas of good governance and transparency, although Sri Lanka has made important strides towards peace and reconciliation. Joining us on our current affairs program at Hyde Park on AdaDerana 24, Doris, in his final television interview in Sri Lanka, also voiced strong concern over the delay in provincial council elections, emphasizing that the provincial legislative bodies currently at the hands of unelected officials depict a democracy in peril. There are a lot of observations you've been making within these past 4.5 years. Let's talk a little about your work and what Sri Lanka has been doing.
I've spent a lot of my time here talking about and working on issues around reconciliation. I look at the setting up of an office on reparations and an office for missing persons, and despite the problems and despite many people's ambition for things to have gone more quickly, I look back and I do see important progress having been made. Best interests of every community lies in a lasting peace, lasting reconciliation being put in place. I ask myself the question, where has Sri Lanka moved forwards? The answer is easy. The answer is in lots of areas.
You're particularly satisfied with the kind of progress Sri Lanka has made in terms of peace, reconciliation?
Well, I look, for example, at the developments here in the right to information, the change to the constitution that has established the right to information as a fundamental right.
Do you see any progress made in the areas of good governance, transparency particularly?
We've been working hard as the UK to help develop the capacities, for example, of the Attorney General's Office and CIABOC, the Anti-Bribery and Corruption Commission. Equally, I look across the country and I get a sense of frustration that greater progress has not been made. And I think that is a mark of the importance that your average voter out on the street attaches to the issue of good, transparent government.
The right to vote, delayed elections in Sri Lanka. What challenges do you see here?
Unfortunate that we're now in a position where in all 9 provinces of Sri Lanka the lead responsibility, the powers of provincial government are in the hands of unelected officials, when the intention was to have elected officials or elected officers in those roles.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe reiterated government's efforts to create a democratic environment in the country which ensures especially a freedom of expression to the people. Addressing an event held in Ranala today, the Premier admitted that there were shortcomings during the tenure of the current government and called on the people to join in for a political journey which will be embarked upon after rectifying such shortcomings.
The first housing complex under the accelerated program for development of middle-income housing and infrastructure was vested with the public under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and the presence of Minister of Housing and Construction Sajith Premadasa in Jaltara area in Ranala today. With 352 units of mid-end apartments, the Green Valley project is a public-private partnership.
විශාල වැඩ කොටසක් කරපු ඇමතිවරයෙක් හැටියට සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස ඇමතුමා අපි නම් කරන්න කැමතියි. ඊයේ මම දැක්කා පොහොට්ටුවේ සම්මේලනයේදී ඒ අපේක්ෂකයා කරපු ප්‍රකාශයක් මට ටිකක් මං හිතන්න පටන් ගත්තා. ඇයි හිනා වෙන්නේ? මෙතන ඔක්කොම ඉන්නේ කොන්ද කෙලින් ඉන්න අය. ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී වාතාවරණයක් අපි අත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසාද විවේචනය කරන්න පුළුවන්. අර මහත්මයා වාගේ නැකිట్లా කෑ ගහන්න පුළුවන්. ඉස්සරෝක කරා නම් සුදු වෑන් එකේ දාලා ගෙනියනවා. දැන් බලන්න හැමදාම මට මේ හැම නාලිකාවෙන් මට බයිනවා. කවුරු හරි සුදු වෑන් වලින් ගෙනිච්චද? කවුරු හරි ජීවතුන් අතර නැද්ද? කවුරු හරි ප්‍රශ්න කරන්න ගියාද? අන්න ඒකයි අපි ඇති කරලා තියෙන නිදහස. මේ තියෙන නිදහසේ අඩුපාඩු තිබුණත් ඒවත් ශක්තිමත් කරගෙන අපි ඉදිරියට යනවාද කියලා තමයි තීරණය කරන්න තිබුණේ.
Chief incumbent of the Kalaniya Raja Mahavihara, Venerable Professor Kollupitiya Mahinda Sangarakitha Thera, yesterday extended an invitation to the Muslim business community to rally around a new phase of development in the country under a new leadership. Speaking at religious observances at the Kalaniya Raja Mahavihara last evening, in view of the naming of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna presidential candidate, the Venerable Thera said that the new leadership is expected to make the nation self-reliant.
Following the SLPP National Convention last evening, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa paid homage at the historical Kalaniya temple. Representatives of the SLPP, including party leader Mahinda Rajapaksa, were present at the occasion. Gotabaya Rajapaksa also called on the chief incumbent of the Kalaniya Raja Mahavihara, Venerable Professor Kollupitiya Mahinda Sangarakitha Thera.
ඔබතුමා තීරණ ගන්නට ඕන කරන තැනදී තීරණ අරගෙන ඒ තීරණය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමේ ශක්තිය තිබෙන කෙනෙක්. අපේ රටේ කුෂිකර්මාන්තය, අපේ රටේ කර්මාන්ත, ඒ වගේම නැනවත් පිරිසක් ජීවත් වන මේ රටේ ඒ බුද්ධිමුතුන්ගේ සේවාව ලබාගෙන මේ රට සශක්ති වශයෙන් වර්ධනය කරන්නට පුළුවන්කම තිබෙන මගවින්වීම ලබා දෙන්නට පුළුවන්කම තිබෙන නායකයෙක් සොයන යුගයකයි ඔබතුමා හිටපු ජනාධිපති මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා නිර්දේශ කළේ. අපි විහාරස්ථානයේ සමග බොහොම සමීපව කටයුතු කරනවා මේ මුස්ලිම් ප්‍රජාව, ඒ ව්‍යාපාරික ප්‍රජාව. මේ රටේ ජනතාව තුළ තිබෙනා වූ සැකය, අවිශ්වාසය, බිහිතිය පහ කරගන්නට අද අවස්ථාවක් උදා වෙලා තිබෙනවා. ඔබගේ හැකියාව මේ රටේ සංවර්ධනය සඳහා යොදා ගන්නට අපි හැමදෙනාම බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් සිටිනවා.
Information Secretary of the Janata Vimukthi Peramuna, MP Vijitha Herath, says that the party will nominate a presidential candidate that will be an alternative force with necessary policy to develop the country. Speaking at a media briefing today, he said the JVP's presidential candidate will be revealed on the 18th in Colombo.
කොළපාට පාලනයත් නිල්පාට පාලනයත් පරණ හොරුත් අලුත් හොරුත් දෙගොල්ලම රටට එපා අලුත් විකල්ප බලයක් දැන් රට ඉල්ලා සිට ජනතාව පෙරමුණ වෙන මේ රටේ ජනතාව බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන නව විකල්ප බලය අනිකුත් සංවිධානවල අනුමැතියත් එක්ක අපි නව අපේක්ෂකයෙක් අපි ජනාධිපතිවරණයට ඉදිරිපත් කරමු රට හදන්න පුළුවන් දේශපාලන ආර්ථික ප්‍රතිපත්තිය සහිත නායකත්වයක් අපි ජනතාව ඉදිරියට පමුණුවනවා පැහැදිලිවම දේශපාලනයේ ක්‍රියාකාරීකෙක් තමයි. දේශපාලනය කරලා පරපුරට තියෙනවා.
Newly declared presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, talked about his hopes to introduce people-centric economic policies under a new government which will give prominence to youth of Sri Lanka. Rajapaksa is confident that these economic principles will support domestic industries while encouraging them to explore new market opportunities within the global economy.
What we must do now is to resume the progress of our country. I look forward to presenting my vision for this progress, taking into account the prevailing global economic trends. I will introduce people-centric economic principles to create this environment. We will ensure that the youth will be given more opportunities to pursue the tertiary education and technical education. We will improve the necessary infrastructure facilities for this with a short period. This will help generate more job opportunities and encourage new entrepreneurs who can contribute to the vibrant economy we hope to create. Our long-term goal should be to be one of the world's leading nations in innovation. The acceleration we intend to create in our country's development will be catalyzed by the technology-based improvements we will introduce to every field. Our economic principles will support domestic industries whilst encouraging them to explore new market opportunities in the global economy. Nearly 1/3 of our population is engaged in the agriculture and fisheries sector. We can use technology as well as the experiences gained from other countries to improve the productivity of these sectors and improve the economic status of those engaged in them. Instead of people needing to come to cities in pursuit of jobs or business opportunities, we must ensure that jobs and business opportunities are taken to the people.
Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajith Premadasa, pledged his support to ensure national security and economic stability for the country. Premadasa was speaking at a public rally organised in Badulla today to support his UNP candidacy in the upcoming presidential election.
A special public rally to welcome Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister of Housing, Construction and Cultural Affairs, Sajith Premadasa, was held at Wheels Park in Badulla today. The public rally was organised by Minister of Telecommunication, Foreign Employment and Sports Harin Fernando. A number of MPs and ministers from the United National Party as well as UPF MP Lakshman Senivaratna participated in the rally.
අවුරුදු 30ක දේශපාලන අත්දැකීමක් අරගෙනයි සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමා මේ ගමනට ඇවිත් යන්නේ. තව අවුරුදු 30ක් දේශපාලනය කරන්න පුළුවන් පුද්ගලෙක් තමයි අපි ගෙනල්ලා තියෙන්නේ බඩු ෂුවර්. යම් තැන්වල අඩුපාඩු වුණත් අපි දන්නවා දැන් අපේ බුලට් එක කවුද කියලා.
ජනාධිපති වරණය වෙනකොට මේ රටේ කොළ පාටයි නිල් පාටයි සියලු පාටවල් එක්කහුව වෙලා එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ ජනාධිපති කෙනෙක් පත් කරන්න අපි කටයුතු කරනවා. එනස් සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමනි ඌව වෙල්ලස්සේ ජනතාවගේ සම්පූර්ණ ශක්තිය සහයෝගය තමුන්නාන්සේව ජයග්‍රහණය කරනකම් අපි ගිනියන විත්‍ය අපි තමුන්නාන්සයට ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
අපි අපේ රටේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව තහවුරු කරන්නට අපි අපකැප වෙලා වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා. ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව කියන්නේ මිලිටරි ආරක්ෂාව පමණක් නෙවෙයි. නමුත් ආර්ථික ආරක්ෂාවත් ශක්තිමත් කරන්නට ඕන. අපි ආරක්ෂක අංශයට ශක්තිය ලබා දෙනවා. අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම රණවිරු පරපුරේ අභිමානය සුරකින ආරක්ෂක වැඩපිළිවෙලක් අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. අපේ පුංචි මිනිස්සයක් මධ්‍යම පන්තියක් මේ බදු බරෙන් අපි නිදහස් කරන්නට ඕන. අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ත්‍රස්තවාදය සහ ත්‍රස්තවාදීන් විනාශ කරනවායි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ නොබියම ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. අපි රටට අහිතකර රටට හානිදායක රටේ ජනතාවට වින කරන කිසිම ආරක්ෂක ගිවිසුමක් කිසිම දේශපාලන ගිවිසුමක් කිසිම වෙළඳ ගිවිසුමක් අපේ පාලනයේ යටතේ අපි අත්සන් කරන්නේ නැතේ කියන එකත් මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ පැහැදිලිවම ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. මම බය නැහැ. මම බය නැති හින්දා තමයි ජනතාවගේ කරපිටින් මේ වේදිකාවට ආවේ. ඒ නිසා මම තමුන්නාන්සලාට කියනවා මට හයිය තියෙනවා මේ රටේ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් මේ මොහොතේ වුණත් මම මැරෙන්නට උනත් ඇසී කියලා මම තමුන්නාන්සලාට කියනවා.
Each year, Muslims gather for the occasion that commemorates the Prophet Ibrahim's willingness to sacrifice his son on the command of God. Today, Sri Lankans join the rest of the world to celebrate Eid al-Adha. We'll bring you details after this short break. Sri Lankan Muslim devotees join the Islamic devotees around the world as celebrations of the festival of Eid al-Adha got underway today, which coincides with the final rites of the Hajj pilgrimage. President Maithripala Sirisena, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Opposition Leader Mahinda Rajapaksa issued statements extending their wishes to the Islamic community.
Eid al-Adha, which in Arabic means the festival of the sacrifice, commemorates the story of the Muslim prophet Ibrahim's test of faith. All Muslims are expected to make it to the Hajj pilgrimage at least once during their lifetime if they can afford to do so. According to the Saudi General Authority for Statistics, almost 2.5 million Muslims took part in this year's Hajj, with more than 600,000 coming from outside Saudi Arabia. The Islamic community of Sri Lanka to engage in religious observances across the country, joining Muslims worldwide. Releasing an official message for the festival, President Maithripala Sirisena said that Hajj is a reflection of discipline to live in peace and harmony with believers of other religions. Meanwhile, in his message, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said his aspiration was for the Islamic community celebrating the festival together with the people of Sri Lanka to commit towards upholding peace in the country, leaving behind all differences and divisions. Extending his wishes, leader of the opposition Mahinda Rajapaksa said that Hajj festival is a reminder that there can be no end in the pursuit for selfless living.
Taking you to business news. Senior Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, says that the country should or could lose access to global debt markets if the new government shifts away from the country's current fiscal policy that is aimed at shortening or shoring up the economy and managing inflation. Speaking to an international media outlet recently, he said that the economy cannot afford to lose access to global markets as it has to repay more than $16 billion in foreign loans over the next 4 years. Veerasinghe said, quote, anyone who comes to power will have to make sure we have access to a global investor base so that we can meet payments in the next couple of years through market borrowings, unquote. The Deputy Governor, Nandalal Veerasinghe, further added that the proposed changes to monetary policy law is expected to win parliamentary approval soon, which will help bolster the central bank's independence. In international markets, yen and bond bulls charged today while stocks struggled again amid ongoing worries that a prolonged US-China trade war and damaging Brexit could tip top economies into a recession. Early gains for Europe's main bourse had quickly disappeared and the Wall Street futures were already in the red after Asia Pacific had also finished lower overnight. That was despite a more than 1% rally for Chinese stocks after the yuan had avoided further drama and financial regulators there had relaxed margin financing rules late on Friday. The Japanese yen, in the meantime, hit its highest in nearly a year and a half at 105.32 yen against the dollar and gained against the euro and Brexit-bruised British pound as well. In bond markets, the demand for guaranteed income was also unrelenting. A rally in Italy's debt gave it an extra boost after Fitch Ratings kept the country's ratings steady despite the prospect of snap elections in the Eurozone's third biggest economy now looming. We have your international and sports news coming up after this short break. Taking you to international news, Hong Kong International Airport has cancelled departing flights today as anti-government protests in its main terminal continue for a full day. Thousands are gathered at the airport, which is one of the world's busiest. In a statement, officials said operations had been seriously disrupted by the public assembly. Many of those protesting are critical of the actions of police who were caught on film firing tear gas and non-lethal ammunition at close range. Meanwhile, several countries, including the United States, Australia, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Japan and Singapore, have already issued travel advisories warning of violent clashes between pro-democracy protesters and police. The Hong Kong Tourism Commission has said the city is still open to travellers and key major attractions such as the Peak Tram, the Ladies Market and the Star Ferry, which takes passengers across the Victoria Harbour to Kowloon, have been unaffected. South Korea said today it plans to drop Japan from its white list of countries with fast-track trade status from September, further deepening further diplomatic and trade rifts between the two countries. The move is seen as a tit-for-tat response to Japan's decision earlier this month to do the same to South Korea. South Korea's Industry Minister Sang Young-mo said Japan would be placed on a newly created restrictive trade list instead. Long-running bilateral tensions were inflamed last year by South Korean court rulings ordering Japanese firms to pay compensation to Koreans over forced labor during World War II. The legal decision drew condemnation from Japan, which argues the dispute was settled in 1965 when diplomatic ties were normalized between the neighboring countries. The trade spat, which includes curbs on tech supplies, has sparked fears over risks to the global electronics sector. And finally in sports, top seed Rafael Nadal overwhelmed Russia's Daniil Medvedev in straight sets to win his fifth Rogers Cup title in Montreal yesterday. In the women's draw, meanwhile, it was an unfortunate result for Serena Williams as she retired with a back injury in the final of the Rogers Cup in Toronto, handing the title to Canadian teenager Bianca Andreescu.
trailing Canadian teenager Bianca Andreescu 3-1 in the Rogers Cup finale yesterday, Serena Williams' hope for the title ended in dramatic fashion as the tearful American was forced to retire with a back injury. Williams, who hoped to chase a record-equalling 24th career Grand Slam title at the US Open, seemed fine on court but suddenly sat crying in her chair before deciding to retire 19 minutes into the match.
I feel like $1 million. It's not the way I wanted to win. It's not easy for an athlete to pull out in the final round, but I know she's going to bounce back real quick, and I wish her the fastest recovery.
Meanwhile, in the men's draw, Rafael Nadal retained his Rogers Cup title, wrapping up a 6-3, 6-0 win against Russia's Daniil Medvedev. Nadal's victory secured him the 35th Masters 1000 tournament win, and it marked the first time the Spaniard has defended a non-clay title.
Today I played my best match so far, without a doubt. I'm just happy about winning the title here again in Montreal. It means a lot to me.
On that note, that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9 on AdaDerana 24. I'm Indivriya Muattak.